My name is Chris Godbold. I am the Chief Curator of Collections here. I'm in charge of the care and preservation of all the artifact and archive collections owned by the George Ranch Historical Park.
Okay. And what sort of things is a historical, I guess, society? Or what do they do exactly? Or a preservation group? They just preserve the historical artifacts, I guess? I mean, that's simple enough, right?
Preservation groups can look to preserve a collection of historic artifacts. They also often will look to preserve historic structures that they might see in their town that are being neglected or that might be in danger of being torn down or what have you. If they think that house should be protected and kept for future generations, that's something they'll often look into. It might also be a historic site.
Okay.
Where something like a battle or who knows what happened that they want to keep preserved rather than having it turn into a parking lot or a Walmart.
Yeah, or a golf court. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, what, in your opinion, what's the most important part about preserving these historical sites?
Our history kind of tells us about who we are.
Okay.
It kind of helps us know where we came from.
Okay.
It's kind of like being at a four-way intersection. If you didn't know where you'd come from, how would you know where you were? Whether to go straight or turn right or turn left.
That's true.
If you didn't have any of that foundation, you'd be lost.
Okay. And do you have to go to any classes or get a major, or does any historian or citizen just preserves history, or how does that work?
Any person can be active in preserving history and in supporting organizations like museums and historical commissions and historical societies that do that, and in writing your representatives and senators and so forth in support of initiatives like that.
So then anyone can just step up and say, I want to preserve this, so then I need to contact the right people and that kind of stuff.
If they see a need, a historic structure that they think should be preserved, then anybody, they could call their local historical commission or museum or what have you. Yeah.
And what issues have you ran into when you're doing these preserving projects, and what is your overall goal with this, the preservation of the parks and stuff?
I guess probably for the most part, it always comes down to funding and money.
Okay.
Because it always takes money to buy properties or take care of objects.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's not easy to come by, especially with the way the economy's been these days. It's hard to find funding, and when organizations like this get a lot of their funding from sources, government-type sources, and the government's looking to cut back and do things like that, you're having to do more with less.
Okay.
Pretty much every nonprofit is doing that these days, and that's probably the big one.
I saw a plant really close by is in industry starting to infiltrate the preservation, the preservation of historical items.
There's always going to be something of a conflict between going forward between improvement of your city and
of course,
in that way, and preserving the history of it and the historic sites or buildings or whatever it is. People can be more committed to the stuff because the stuff is smaller, it can go away and come to the museum and doesn't necessarily get in the way. But
of course.
when you're talking about a home or a site, so tensions can rise there when people see that as a place for a business that has jobs and
of course
and serves the community, and
okay.
So there's always going to be a little tension there.
Let me ask you this one last question. If you had an unlimited amount of money, like any resources that you want at any point in time you want, what is your goal of your overall goal of what you want to do with that? If you had no obstacles.
I guess my first thing would be to improve my storage
Okay.
around here. Museums always can use more storage.
Okay.
Pretty much a common thing. Always need more.
Always storage.
More space, more people, more personnel. I think we got awareness to improve the history education of the public. It can be scary
Yeah.
for what they don't know. It frightens us old historians here.
Okay.
Those would probably be the big ones.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it. That's
Okay.
I got the information I needed.